Hey friends, I'm so excited about this episode today. I know that I say that about every episode. Laura talks about how she created her first product but then didn't sell it. However, she was able to use it in her membership, in her group program, and it was really the foundation of all of the other courses that she has created. And she also has journals and workbooks and a bunch of stuff. I also really love how she talks about knowing yourself and finding what works best for you. And that really changes over time. So, what works really well for you right now might not work great for you in 2 years when your situation changes or your circumstance changes. So, just kind of keep that in mind. She also has a ton of products because she finds that it works really well for her. And she packages those up in different ways. She has an all access pass. She has a way that you can work with her one-on-one where you get access to those products. And there's so many great things in this episode. I can't wait for you to listen to it today. Hey everyone, welcome to Your First Digital Product, a show that helps maxed out service providers create their first digital product so they can gain an additional income stream, grow their impact without increasing one-on-one work, and experience more time freedom. On the show, I talk to business owners who have launched digital products and dig deep into how you can create, launch, and market your first digital product. I'm your host, Renee Morozowicz. Let's go. Hey everybody, today I'm here with Laura Robinson, and Laura is a marketing mentor for people who sell their expertise online as one-on-one services, courses, memberships, and group programs, helping them get comfortable with creating, selling, and marketing their offers so they can enjoy a regular income and doing work that fits around their life. Hey Laura, how are you?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm great, thank you.
I'm so excited you're here, and I think Kay from, I don't know if she was in season 1 or 2, um, had talked about you in the interview that I did with her, and she mentioned you, and I looked you up, and I love all of your offerings. I love your website. I love the design. I'm so excited to talk about all these things today, but why don't you tell us just a little bit more about you in your own words?
Okay, well, I live in England, in East Anglia on the coast. I can see the sea from my window, it's about a mile away. And my business, I was a copywriter, like my training is being a copywriter, and that was like my one-to-one work. I started that about 15 years ago. And my business is entirely designed around my kids. I have teenage sons that I home educate. I want to be able to go to the beach whenever I feel like it. Like if the tide is right and the weather is good, I want to be able to drop my work and take them to the beach. I am volunteer wildlife rescuer, so I rescue seals off of our local beach. And so everything about my business is just designed to work around my life, rather than having a specific growth goal in mind or like something that I'm stretching or working towards.
I love all of that, all of those things. So you have many, many products right now. I looked at your website and you have many products, and I'll have a link to these in the show notes. But you have everything from journals to workbooks to short courses to self-study courses at various price points and tons of great stuff out there now. So I'm wondering what your first product was and then kind of what happened. When was it? Who was it for? Why did you do it? All that good stuff.
Okay, so I made my first product I think it was about 10 years ago, 9 or 10 years ago now. Um, yeah, let's say nine. And I made three at the same time. One was about how to write your about page. It was like a mini course, get your about page done in, I don't know, the weekend or something. And then another one was about how to write your homepage. And then the other one was about how to write your work with me page. And I created these courses because those were the products that or the services that I sold as a
Mhm.
copywriter most often. That was what people wanted help with. But also there was plenty of people that wanted that help and they couldn't afford to work one-to-one with a copywriter, or they really wanted to do it themselves. Like some people genuinely enjoy writing and they wanted to be able to do it themselves. So I took the processes that I used as a copywriter, turned it into a course so that other people could do it for themselves. And I remember I got this plugin to go on my website. It was Learn something or other. And I made these little graphics up of like folders or kind of briefcases that had like the about page written on it and the homepage. And I got it all set up. And I was genuinely like 100% ready to press go to start selling it for about £25 each. So it's about $30. And I realized, oh wow, I know like 100 people in the online world. I didn't really have an email list. I remember clawing my way to 100 likes on Facebook and being like, yes, this has taken me a year. Now I'm ready to release a course. And I did the maths after I had created the courses and realized this doesn't add up. Like I can launch these courses and some people will buy it. And then what do I do after that? Because it had taken so much out of me just to create them in the first place. So I actually I didn't release them as standalone products. I decided to create a membership and I would use those 3 courses as like the foundation material inside the membership. So when people joined, there was at least something in it. And I did um, like the typical create something new every month as well. And so I decided to kind of change my goal to launch a membership. And I think it was about $40 a month. I then also switched currencies halfway through doing this. And my aim was to have about 40 members, like 40 founding members, $30 or $40 a month as the membership. Use those courses as the foundational content. And that was something I could then, like I could live off of that enough to be able to use that monthly income to free up my time so that I could keep creating more content. And I did. I launched the membership about probably a year later. It wasn't straight away. And then I ran that for a few years. And then I closed that and I launched a group program that was kind of repurposing that content. And so those original courses that never saw the light of day as products of their own right have been the kind of foundational content for all of the products that I've created since then.
Interesting. So why did you close the membership, and then how was the group program different than the membership? Like, I'm curious about like the later parts of this journey.
So the membership, because it was like a few years ago, so 4 or 5 years ago now, it's a bit hazy, the switch over time. But the membership was quite high touch. So it started off like a regular membership, not much like one-to-one contact with me. And then it became clear that people did not want more and more content. They just wanted more time with me. So I put the price up and it was quite high touch. And then winter 2019, we were having some renovation work done on our house, which is like, that's a massive understatement. The back of our house had a new floor built on it. And so at one point there were no internal walls or ceilings in our house. It was just like this brick shell and everything was being done inside it. So we moved in with my parents. And it was just not sustainable, like to have a membership and be trying to have all this like one-to-one contact with people who were members, and I couldn't create new content anyway because I didn't have like my office set up or anything. So I muddled through as best as I could, but it was like the break from my routine that I needed to see, like, I'm not enjoying this now in this setup, and I don't think I'm going to enjoy it when I get back into my house. Like this isn't a temporary, I don't enjoy this situation. This is something's changed in me and the way that we're working. And so I just knew it was time to move on to something else. And the group program was still about the same kind of idea of writing your website content and like, how do you sell what you sell? Like, how do you represent that online? But I just repackaged the content in a slightly different way and ran it as a group cohort. So I had more control over the time that I was spending face to face with people and when they were wanting feedback from me. And I could create gaps. So it was run for 12 weeks, I think. And then I could create like a 4-week gap so that it wasn't the same like continuous plodding along rhythm that you can get with a membership.
I like that. So do people, after they go through the group program one time, let's say it's 12 weeks, I think you said, do they come back again? Or do you find that there are new people coming, or is it a mix?
Well, the group program was then just something else that I retired after running it for about 2 or 3 years.
Okay. Well, then when you did it, did people come back again?
Sometimes they did, yeah. I offered them a renewal fee. It was about £400 or £400 to do it the first time around. And then if you wanted to come back around, it was only like £100. So it was just something so that you had some skin in the game for turning up for the calls and doing the work. But I wasn't charging a huge amount because they already had access to all the material. So yeah, some people did come back.
Okay. And so why did you retire the group program then?
Again, like my life evolved and things changed, and the format didn't work for me. I live with chronic migraine, and that flared up quite badly around the end of 2020 or beginning of 2021. And I realized that Zoom calls were like a significant trigger for me. I mean, like, it's fine. I'm happy to be here. I always feel really nervous when I tell people that. They're like, oh no, I'm holding you against your will on a Zoom call. But I know, like, sometimes I need to do them. But at the time, I was spending like many hours sat on video chat. And I think it's mostly like I'm not a very good auditory processor. Like I feel very self-conscious when I'm trying to process what somebody's saying and then to try and deal with like the visual inputs at the same time. And I was like
Mhm.
managing group calls. So you're talking to one person, but you're definitely aware that there are other people and you think, oh, someone's been waiting for a really long time to talk and
Mhm.
that person needs to leave soon. And I found it quite energetically draining. But I didn't realize that for a while. So it's not like
Mhm.
I was sitting through these calls going, oh, I really wish I wasn't here.
Right.
I
Right.
was enjoying them and I really enjoyed working with people in that way. And it was taking me time to realize you don't feel very well after you've been
Mhm.
doing this for a while. So I took a break from doing it and then I felt so much better when I did the break. I realized,
Mhm.
okay, well, I'm not working with people in that way again. And I
Right.
actually like stopped having Zoom or video chat as
Mhm.
part of any of my offers. So I stopped doing one-to-one clients where I would have a big kickoff call on Zoom
Mhm.
chat. I uh, cancelled my retainer clients because they were all based on Zoom chat, and I stopped the
Mhm.
group program and I kind of rebuilt my business again based on what would work for me, which is kind of how I've ended
Yeah.
up with so many offers because I was at the time thinking, okay, well, what can I do? I can create courses. I know I can sit
Mhm.
and write a course and record a course, and I feel okay. And I knew that when I launched a course, people would buy it because I had an audience to buy it. And so that's how I
Mhm.
ended up with so many products because those were things I could create in my own time around like my other commitments and around my health.
Mhm.
And I felt reasonably confident they would generate an income every time I launched because I had the audience to sell them to.
Right. I think that a lot of people think, myself included sometimes, that, like you embark on something new, like, a course or a membership or a group program or something, and then you think like, okay, I'm going to do this, and then this is how it's going to be for all time. Like, and I think that we shouldn't think like that. We should recognize that, like, yes, this may be great for now, but it's not going to be forever. It's not maybe always going to work for you or your specific situation because your situation changes. And I think that's just a really good thing to keep in mind. And I love when people say things like that, like, oh, well, I did this for a while and then it didn't work. But here's what I did instead. And then that worked. So I think that's great.
I think I've been quite aware, even from like 16, 18 years old, my attention span for something is 18 months. Like,
Wow.
if I look at the things that I have, like the decisions I've made and the
Mhm.
changes I've made, I can stick at something for about 18 months before I start to
Oh.
feel like, kind of bored of this or it's
Yeah.
time for something new. And that awareness is really helpful because I got to like midway through the second year of my degree and I was like, yeah, I'm done with this. This is
Mhm.
boring. And I could like, I could have a chat with myself and say, no, we always do this. And we knew
Mhm.
this was 3 years when we started. And so we're going to see this through. So
Yeah.
for things like that, where I know it's got a defined time and I have to stick with it, I
Mhm.
can be aware of that like energy shift in myself where I'm like, yeah,
Mhm.
I'm done with this. I'm ready to move on. But when in jobs, I never like 18 months was definitely the top. So I was going to work at anything.
Yeah.
And I think in like my business, it's been very similar. After 18 months, I start to get a bit restless. I'm ready for things
Mhm.
to look a bit different. And it doesn't always have to be a drastic change, but I know I'm ready for a change. But also my business works around my life. And
Mhm.
like you said, you've got a teenager. Like so
Mhm.
I left my job when they were 2 and 4 years old
Mhm.
and they're 18 and 16 now. Like we have been through so many iterations of what our family life looks like and what our schedule looks like week in,
Mhm.
week out. And every time we've had a shift, I've had to adapt my business around that because that's my choice. Like I could
Mhm.
shift my family life around my business if I wanted to do it that way around, but that isn't what I wanted. I wanted to have a
Mhm.
flexible business that it is a kind of like shapeshifter or
Mhm.
um like kinetic sand, how it like molds
Yes.
around the
Mhm.
obstacles that are there. That's my business. Like I put in place all of the important blocks or
Mhm.
the important building blocks of our life, and then the kinetic sand that is my business just kind of has to flex around what I've got. And so that means the shape of my business has changed many times over since I've been running it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because I feel like if we're doing this, it only benefits us to do it well, to be able to work around the things that are important to us. So if we're sacrificing those things, we could just go work for somebody else. It's good that we're doing it in a way that works for ourselves and our lives and the change that happens. Because you're right, it's not always the same from season to season, from age to age, from school to school. Like everything is different. And I can imagine you're probably seeing some big changes at 18 and 16 too. Like it's
It's
different.
It's different, but they still like, I still want to be around. Like, I
Yes.
will still pick up my teenage like, he's
Mhm,
18, and I'll still pick him up from the train station.
mhm,
Not because he can't walk, like, it's a mile, he could walk home, but
mhm,
those 5 minutes or, like, the look on his face when a car is there to pick it's freezing cold, and he's like, "Oh,
mhm.
you came?" Like, "Yes, I came. It's fine. Get in my car."
Yes.
And then we
Yes.
get 5 minutes, just the 2 of us, to come
Right.
home, and then once he started talking, I can hang out in the kitchen with him while he's getting a snack, and because the
Mhm.
conversation has started already, he'll talk some
Yes.
more, and, I want to be around for those things. It is completely
Mhm,
different from when they're little, but I still want the same level of flexibility and
mhm.
availability for them.
Yes. Yeah, and you're right, like, about the talking, like, I know we're getting off topic, but, interesting to me that, like, yeah, you can't always, like, plan for when they're going to start talking. Like, sometimes my son will come in at night, like, right before bed, and he kinda sits there a little bit like he has something to say, but I don't wanna be like, "Oh, time for bed," like, you have to kind of adapt to these things, like, when the opportunity arises, take advantage of it because it's nice, like, it's a good thing.
But that's 1 a.m. is top talking time. Apparently, like 1 a.m. and you can just hear someone hovering outside the door and think,
Aw.
okay, like I'm gonna have to bring it now because I know if you want to talk to me at 1 a.m., it's gonna be a good
Mhm.
one.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And you can't be like, "No, can we reschedule for 8?" Like, the opportunity will be missed. So, I love that. I love that we're
Exactly.
building things around, and I love all of your things. So any other thoughts about that first product when you sat down to create it? Like, did you have any problems creating it? How long did it take? A lot of people will go through things like, they've been wanting to do it for a long time, and they haven't been able to, or they can't hit publish because they're scared of charging for things, like, any other thoughts about other parts of the first product before we move on?
I don't regret creating it and then not selling it. And
Mhm,
I think I really noticed that there were lots of people who they want to help, but they have their own opinion on why you're doing something. So, oh yeah, but you created it and you didn't press send, like you didn't publish it. That's you're holding yourself back for these
mhm,
reasons. And I understand where they're coming from and they want to help, but I also trust my own level of self-awareness
mhm,
that I knew before I was ready to sell it. I didn't mind other people seeing my work. I was ready for that. I knew that there was something not quite right and it needed to exist in a different format. And I think that the thing that's helped me the most in creating so many products is knowing like my own stumbling. I know where I'm going to stumble. So I'm one of those people where I don't mind creating it. Like it just comes. Like if the course exists in my mind, as soon as I thought about it, it's
mm,
all there and it's ready to come out. So I have to work really fast to get the thing created and to trim it down to make it something that's usable for other people and not totally overwhelming. And I don't mind other people seeing it, but it's the boring bits of like hooking up the
mhm,
sales page has got to talk to the checkout and then it's got to talk to the email and like that stuff drives me crazy. And it's not hard. I can do
mhm,
it, but it's just really dull. And I know that about myself. And so instead of getting like way into my head about, but am I upper limiting or like, is it self doubt?
mhm,
Like, no, it's not. It's just boring and I don't like it. So what I'm going to do is create a sales page with a timer on it and say, if anybody buys it before I've hooked all this stuff up. So I've got like the outline. I haven't recorded and edited the videos. If you want to get the like eager beaver discount, what I always call it, instead of early bird, so eager beaver discount,
mhm,
you can have it for like a third of the price I'm going to sell it for, or half the price. Here, go buy it by this date. And I know that as soon as 20 people have bought it, I'm going to do all of that boring rubbish
mhm,
because people have paid me and I've promised them that they're going to get this thing. And I learned quite quickly, like that's the thing that I trip up on.
mm,
I don't think it's a like mindset thing. I think that's just
mhm,
quite a natural aversion to wanting to do the boring fiddly tasks.
mhm,
But if I make a promise to people that this thing exists, I will get all of that done so that they can have the thing. And so I've just followed that process every time I've launched something. I have once had well twice. Once I've sold things and I've had to back out of it. So a few people bought it and then I needed a small operation. I was just like looking at my
mhm,
calendar, I was like, it's not going to happen. Like my situation changed. I wasn't going to be able to create this thing. And so I just refunded them and they were all fine about it. And another time I put a thing out there and I was like, I'm going to create this thing. It's going to be amazing. And nobody bought it.
mm.
And
So
I
why do you
thought, "Oh,
think?
excellent. I've, like,
Yeah.
saved myself a lot of money and not
Yes.
a lot of time
In time, yeah.
editing videos because
Mhm,
I'm not gonna record the videos because nobody's bought this thing." So
mhm,
for the most part, that strategy of pre-selling something where I've 70% created the content but
mhm,
haven't done the boring bit of recording the videos and setting it all up, that has worked to, um, help me, like, be so prolific
yeah.
creating content. But which is interesting because that's nothing like how I did it. I don't regret not doing it that way for the first
Mhm.
products. I still think that was the way, like, I'm happy with how things panned out with that. But it's interesting that I've never done it that way again. I've never
Mhm.
created a course, got it ready, got the sales page, and then planned a launch ever. That's the only time I've ever done it. And I didn't launch that thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, and I think there's a lot in here about you knowing what works for you and what doesn't work for you, so I like that. It just makes it so much easier on yourself. You're like, "Okay, well, this is what works. If I sell to that many people, then I make it." And why do you think that one didn't sell? That's interesting.
It was a new audience. I was cross
Okay.
promoting with somebody else that they worked in a very specific niche and they had a very large audience. And we thought that something that I already had would be a good match for them if I
Mhm.
tailor made it for that niche. So
Mhm.
I didn't need to put a huge amount of effort into it. And so I just put the sales page together and said, "Does
Mhm.
anybody want it?" And the answer was no. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just wasn't a good fit for the niche. They
Yeah.
didn't really know me um as well either. So but, I love that story because then when anybody says to me, "Oh, I put this thing together and nobody bought it," like, "Yeah, like
Mhm.
it happens to us all." And then the next thing I sold would have sold loads of, would have sold to
Yeah.
hundreds of people probably. It
Mhm.
just sometimes it happens like that.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned audience. So initially you said you didn't have that many people, but it sounds like now you have, or have you actively built your email list to be able to sell to people? And how have you done that?
Yes, I mean, it's about 4,000 people now, so it's not a
Nice.
massive email list, but it's like a nice and enough amount that I know that if I launch something, people will buy it. Although
Mhm.
this last year, I've tried to launch less brand new things and make more of the things that I've already got.
Mhm.
Um, I uh, I sort of accidentally built the audience, which sounds ridiculous, but I wanted to teach in other people's membership. Like I didn't have an idea of like build the audience and then you sell them
Mhm.
something. I just didn't have that all planned out. I just really liked teaching people about writing their own sales pages and writing their own about pages. And so I got invited to teach in other people's memberships. And
Mm.
then someone who I had like a kind of business crush on was launching her first podcast, Callie Willows from the Membership Geeks. And I was like, oh, I would never ever have had the courage to be on a podcast or like put myself forward for anything like that. But I really just fancied the chance to talk to Callie because I really liked chatting with her in the forums. And like I said, it's just like a real business crush of, I love
Mhm.
what you do. Like, please let me come and talk to you. So I asked to go on her podcast and she said, yep, that's fine. And I was like, I was hooked. It was so much fun recording a podcast interview with her. So I then did a series of them. And this is about 2018, I think.
Mhm.
2018 was like my grand tour year. And I ended up going on a bunch of podcasts. And so my email list grew. And then I was like, oh, I've got these people now who would like to buy something from me. I don't really have anything to sell them. So it was both processes were happening at the
Mhm.
same time where I was like accidentally building this audience and then coming up with things that they could buy so that I could
Mhm.
free up my time from one-to-one work so I could go and do some more podcast episodes.
Yes.
Um, it was great fun. And then I was a guest on Carrie Green's Female Entrepreneur Association podcast. And then she mentioned in that during the interview, like, oh, you should come and be a guest expert, like teacher of the month to my membership. And so I did that. And that went out in March 2020 when the world was ever so slightly distracted by something else. And it was like this finale performance where I was like, yep, I've done it now. Like that was the thing that I really wanted to do. And then I just didn't do any more teaching or podcasts for ages afterwards. We were kind of distracted, but we had other
Yeah.
things to be
We're
getting
busy.
on with. So I sort of fell off that wagon.
Mhm. Right.
And then my audience growth kind of stumbled at that point, and now
Mhm.
I'm just starting to like pick it back up again and put some
Mhm.
more effort into it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's a great point that it's not always linear and it's not always like you have to do this and then you do this and then you do this. Like even some
Yeah.
people who have, they create a product and they launch it, but they don't have any way into the product. So then they create like a lead magnet that leads into the product and that sales sequence. Like, you can start with that free lead magnet and then as people are downloading it, then create that thing. But yeah, there's many ways to do this and it's not just any one specific way. So yeah.
Like there are so many different parts of it that you need
Mhm.
to work on. You might as well just go where you feel excited to do the
Mhm.
work. Like start here if that seems shiny and attractive, then go for it. And then so there's so many different bits to work on, but as soon as you finish working on one, the thing that you worked on last year needs updating and you need to go back to it anyway. So like you're never
Yes.
this idea that you put all these pieces together and it's like this beautiful like marble run where you've clipped all the
Mhm.
parts together and then you just put the
Right.
people in the top and then they like and the money comes out the bottom. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. Because the whole
Oh my
time you're
gosh.
building this thing, there's something else in the room, like knocking it all over and moving all the pieces,
Mhm.
and like, and you decide, oh, I don't like those marble, I don't want those people anymore. I
Right.
like these other people much more, and I need this money instead of that money, and I want to do
Mhm.
this work instead of that work. So, like, you're just working on it all the time anyway.
Yes. Yeah. And so that's a great point about how are you going back and like updating any of these workbooks or journals or courses? Like, do you have like a schedule or is it like, oh, I haven't looked at that for a while. I want to look at it again. Like, how do you know when it's time to update something?
So at the moment, I'm working through them to put them onto Hello Audio, so like have a private podcast feed for as many of my courses as I can. Almost all of them will work like that. There's a couple where, because it's quite visual, because I'm
Mhm.
explaining copywriting things and you need to look at the writing, like it just
Mhm.
wouldn't make any sense. But most of them can go and have a private podcast feed. So that's like goal number one, is to get, it's like leave the courses as they are, but get the content up on a podcast. As I'm doing that, I'm obviously looking to see, I'm going through
Mhm.
the content at the same time, like to see if anything's jumping out at me as like, oh, I wouldn't explain it like that anymore, or that feels
Right.
outdated. But luckily, most of the things I talk about don't age
Mhm.
quickly because it's not specific to like a social media platform or,
Right.
Facebook ads. It's not like a specific way of doing something where the technology is updated regularly. So they age quite well. Mostly the pattern I've noticed in myself is me thinking that, oh, that course is so embarrassingly out of date. I really need to update it. It's probably rubbish because I wrote it ages ago. Nobody would ever want to look at it. And then I go in and look at it and go, oh, wow, this is great.
Yes.
This is some of
Yes.
my
I've
best
had that.
work.
Yes. Same
Why have I
experience.
been
Yes.
hiding it away?
Yes. Yes, I totally
Gosh.
agree. I've done that with, like, some emails, like, I've looked back at some emails that I've sent before, anything really like that, and I'm like, this isn't too bad." Like, it's nice, it's refreshing. So, yeah, go
I
back and
don't
look at your stuff.
Yeah, I don't know why I have such a low opinion of like myself 6 months or 12 months or
Right?
2 years ago. And I'm always pleasantly surprised about what she
Yes.
was able to achieve.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, like, "Oh, great work." Yeah, very cool. I love that. So, how are you coming up with the new products that you create? Like, so you have this big audience now. Are you going back to them every once in a while and saying like, "Hey, what do you guys need?" Or are you just thinking like, "Oh, I know what people need. Do you guys want it?" Or a combination of things? Like, how are you generating ideas for each new thing that you create? Oh, and I want to talk about the
Um, I,
private podcast too. We'll come back to that. Yeah, go ahead.
yes. I have a 3-month mentoring program now, which is again like the evolution of the group
Mhm.
program. So it's me working one to one with people. It's all based on Voxer or like doing like screen share videos, them sending me Google documents. So it's all like asynchronous
Mhm.
collaboration, and I absolutely love working this way. But obviously there's a whole bunch of questions that come up, and if I don't have a course that answers the question, then it goes. I think, oh well, okay, that's an idea for a course. I'm also starting an Ask Laura private podcast feed that is for people who have I have an all access pass. It's like, here's everything. You don't get
Mhm.
one-to-one time with me, but here's all of the courses. Go dig in. I prefer selling like that because the courses make sense if you don't have to stack them one on top of the other, but they do make sense and they work really well together.
Mhm.
So I the short questions that I can answer, recording an audio and then that goes on the podcast feed. So it's not like I don't want to do like a whole training just to answer something I can answer in 5 minutes.
Mhm.
But at the moment, I'm working on a subject line training just because it keeps coming up over and over again. And when I tried to answer it in a succinct way, I realized there's actually quite a few different things I want to say about subject lines and, like how it appears in your inbox and previews sentences. And
Mhm.
once I started writing it down, I realized well, first of all, I thought this is going to be a lesson inside another course. And I was like, oh no, this is actually an entire course all on its
Mhm.
own, just about subject lines. It probably will take under 60 minutes for someone to complete it, maybe 30 to 60 minutes. But I really like this idea that if you're stuck writing a subject line in this particular example, it exists on my course platform and you can just go get it and it's going to help you do the thing you want to do and you can come back to it as many times as you need to. So my newer products are definitely more focused on helping you do a very specific thing. And I just create them when when it's come up
Neat.
enough times, I think, yes, it's just
Right.
going to be easier to create a course and send people to that. Having said that, I tell myself it's going to be really easy. And I do something like right on my list Monday afternoon, you're going to write this course material as if I sit down for 2 or 3 hours and that's all the time I'm going to need.
Mhm.
And now we're like Thursday afternoon, and I'm like, yeah, no, I mean, I've done the work. I spent all of Monday afternoon doing it. It's not
Mhm.
that I've procrastinated on this, but no, I am absolutely nowhere near finished doing it.
Yes. Yeah, that's a big thing. Like, it's, like, create course is not a one to-do
It's,
item. Like, you
it's not
have to
one
really
afternoon.
break that down, yeah, into mid and I think if you can break it down, it's so much more satisfying because then you can actually check something off. I hate the task, and I love kind of productivity, this sort of stuff, but I hate the idea that, like, I put something on the list, but I can't check it off, but I did work on it. So, like, how can I reword it to be able to check it off, and then I can add it as a different task, the next day or whatever, but it just feels like, okay, I did something, not just like, I did a bunch of work, but look, I didn't do anything. I don't know, it's like a mind game or something. I'm seeing so much about these private podcasts lately, like so much. And I'm seeing people do this sort of thing where they take their course or they take their workbook or whatever, even their lead magnet, and kind of explain it via audio because, I don't know, we're tired of looking at screens, but we still want to absorb the information. But the private podcast is maybe better than a public podcast. I don't know. I'm seeing a lot about this. So, like, how did you come up with this? I guess maybe, I don't know, what are your goals for the private podcast, or just, I don't know, any thoughts about private podcasts that we haven't talked about?
I have absolutely no plans to have a public podcast.
Mhm.
There's like free content that goes out to people. And to start off with, it was just people asked. They'd seen other course creators
Mhm.
create private podcast feeds of their course content. So it's not all it is a podcast feed that is entirely made up of the audio stripped
Mhm.
from an existing course. Um, and I don't. It was really difficult for me to wrap my head around it because that's not me. I was like, that's not how I learn. Like, just
Yes.
go in the course platform and watch the
Yes.
video that was
From
created. And be
start
like,
to
why is that
finish.
not what you want to do?
Yes. Yes, exactly.
So,
100%.
so I was like, okay, well, if it means that much to you, then I will
Mhm.
give it a go. And it wasn't that hard to take the course material that I already had and put it in the first one, put it in Hello Audio. And basically, people just started giving me really lovely feedback about it and sending me pictures of them, like, I'm out walking my dog and I'm listening to this course. Or like I watched the course and I just needed a refresher, so I'm
Mhm.
listening to it while I'm cooking dinner. Or they just explained to me like how they use. I didn't ask them to tell me like or to
Yeah.
justify its existence. They just spontaneously gave me feedback that made me realize like, oh, actually, this is really helpful to people. So I started putting more of the courses on.
Mhm.
It really is not hard work to do, but again, it's one of those things that's like sits on the to-do list and then a
Mhm.
bunch of other stuff climbs on top of it. And then every now and then I'll think, I am going to do a whole course and put it on the podcast right now. And it literally takes me an hour to do. So it's not a big deal to do it. Um, so yeah, I'll keep going with that just because other people find it helpful. And then the Ask Laura private podcast, which is going to be more like a public podcast as we know them,
Mhm.
but it's only going to be available to people who hold my all access pass.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just going to record that like 10-minute episodes once a week, drip fed as they go
Mhm.
out. I mean, I've literally just started working on it now.
Mhm.
And that idea came from listening to Hello Audio's own podcast about how people use their podcast feeds. And Mariah Cos, if I said her name properly, she has started doing something similar for people who are in her group program. I was like, that's genius because I get so many
Mhm.
questions and I like type out this answer on email, which is fine. Like I love answering people's questions,
Yeah.
but I'm so inefficient of like then someone else asked me a question. I think, yeah, I'm pretty certain I answered that question like 3
Mhm.
weeks ago, but I can't remember who I sent that email
Right.
to. So and I try and think of like 2 or 3 words I might have used in the email, so put it in the search bar.
Yes, and it doesn't come up, and what did you
I'm like,
say
please,
instead? Yes, you're in your
like I
sent
don't know, but
items.
yeah.
Yeah,
So then
I'm
I'll
with you.
just type out the answer again because I need to now because this person's waiting for their answer. So yeah, this just seems like a much more efficient use of my time to be able to record them
Yeah.
and then be able to point people to an
Mhm.
episode.
So for the courses, like, will you have a separate audio feed for each course then? Like, so are you gonna have, like, 10 different like, how
Yeah.
does that work in Hello Audio? Like,
Yes.
you could just kind of have them all there?
How it works, so from the user's perspective, when they log into the course, so like I've got a course called Persuasion Power Ups. If you log into that, right at the start, there's a module that says, would you prefer to listen to this as a
Mhm.
private podcast feed? And it explains how you would do that with some screenshots that says like you click on this link, you put your email address in. And then you get some buttons. I'm not
Mhm.
doing a very good job of explaining this because this is how
Yeah,
technically savvy I am with these
I've
things.
seen it. Yeah. You
There's
just
some
click the
buttons.
button for what
You
you need. Yeah.
choose like how you want to listen, and then
Mhm.
magically it is on your phone, which is
Mhm.
incredibly clever. And so then when they went into like their Google podcast, it would say Laura Robinson Persuasion Power Ups, and
Nice.
they could just listen to the whole course there
Okay.
in their feed.
Okay. Awesome. It's so good. It's so good. So many new things that are coming out of this. That just like things changing because I think this just wasn't a thing years ago, but now, we're more into audio and with the I feel like private podcasts, I don't know, just like a big boom lately. So your all access pass is interesting. So I think a lot of times when people buy a course, they get like lifetime access, like lifetime of the course, right? Like you get it for all time. But with your access pass, I noticed it said like per year. So they're only getting access to all of your courses like for the year that they've paid for. Is that right?
Yeah. So there's lots of people who've already bought the courses, they own them outright, like that
Mhm.
doesn't change, they don't have to pay anything. And I did a period where I said, like, if you've owned some of the courses, but you want to access the rest of them, then get in touch. And I did like a discounted rate
Mhm.
so that it kind of reflected how much of the courses they already owned. But there was two things came up for me at the same time. One was I was looking at our massively outdated DVD collection that we have at home. Like we have hundreds of DVDs. My husband used to love buying DVDs and lovingly putting them in this folder. And so we've got racks of them, or like these books that hold them all
Mhm.
loose. And I was just looking at them like, we just don't do that anymore because we just have Netflix
Mhm.
and also like Amazon Prime and Disney Plus
Right.
and Apple TV because we have them
Yes.
all. Like, why
Yes.
would you not?
Right.
And it was just in my head, like, why am I charging people hundreds of pounds to own a course when the people that most need it are usually not in the position to pay that much? And I would like help with payment plans, and having like flash sales, so things were discounted. Something just felt off. Like there was just a mismatch between it. And I was trying to figure out like, how can I make this work so that it is accessible in the same way as like streaming content is? And also I had been running flash sales. So I had like the 2-tier pricing model where so you launch at one price and it goes up
Mhm.
to full price. And then a few times a year you knock it down to the special offer price.
Mhm.
And that special offer price is also in your sales funnel. So someone downloads the lead magnet
Mhm.
and then they get like 5 days to get it at 60% off. And I'm already exhausted just from trying to explain how it works. So
It's a lot.
planned. I had set it all up for like 10 products. It took me forever. And I was like, I really hate doing this, but I'm going to keep going. It's just work. I just need to do the work. And I finished setting it all up and I was like, I hate this. This is not, it's great. I completely understand the benefit of selling in
Mhm.
that way. And I also see that for many people who buy in that way, there's also benefits to that. And I often buy products that are sold in that way.
Mhm.
But I just was not loving it. It was just making me really tired. I felt really stressed every time somebody bought something. I was like checking, had they gone through the right funnel and had
Mhm.
the chance to buy at all the right prices? And was this fair? And it just wasn't working for me. So I thought, well, why not just bundle them all together? Like they're still available to buy separately if people want
Mhm.
them to, but why not just give people the option of paying for a year and just see what happens? So I started doing that. I only started doing it in the last few months. So it's very much like a new experiment.
Mhm.
But the other part I love about it is that I've been able to start doing these like Ask Laura podcasts, or at the moment they're video recordings, where when I'm trying to answer someone's question, it's not just one course or there's like parts
Yeah.
I want to refer to other things. So quite often I want to be able to refer to the persuasion power ups, which are 7 techniques you can apply to make anything more persuasive. But I feel like when I'm in the answer, I'd be giving away the content. Once you know what the
Mhm.
7 are, you've got a good chunk of what the value of the course is.
Mhm.
So I don't want to hold back from talking to people when I'm looking at the sales page because, oh no, you only bought the sales page course and you haven't bought this other course. And if you bought this other course, it would be better. Like it just didn't, trying to keep them all separate in my
Yeah.
mind and in my answers and the way that I work with people, that wasn't working either. So, and it's one of those things like once I'd seen how they gel together, I couldn't take them, even though I created them separately. Once I could see how they fit together, I didn't want to make them be apart anymore. I wanted it to just be all available at once. So
Yeah.
I've been trialing that for about 3 months, I think. Maybe long. It's probably longer than that, actually. It just feels like time has gone really quickly. It was towards like the second half of last year.
Mhm.
And I'm just so much happier and more comfortable selling that way. So I will keep it that way for the foreseeable future.
Mhm. Yeah, that's nice. And it's nice to be able to do different things with these, so it's not just like, here's a course, here's a course, here's a course, like bundling them. And you also have, so the all access pass is all of them. And you mentioned with that private podcast coming, and then the mentorship, it said has lifetime access to the current courses plus time with you. There's other ways to work with you one-on-one. And then I really liked at the bottom of the page, really people go look at the page, like click on the link and look at the page. Um, you say, because you have so many products, like, help me. I don't know what I need. And I loved it. Now, is it a quiz? I didn't go through it. Like, is it a quiz or like it just some questions? Like, what is it exactly where you help
It's
people
just
decide?
I think at the moment it just goes to an Airtable form. I've used so many different things. I've had
Mhm,
Chapter built on there, and there's ConvertBox, and so we've been switching between different ways. But it's just like direct contact with me. You just fill
mhm,
out a form, and then we have a little bit of chat back and forth. And I can usually recommend like a selection. So there'll be free things like blog posts
mhm.
that I've got,
Nice.
freebies, and then if you want to go deeper, here's this course you might want to buy, or like if it makes more sense for us to work together, then I would say that. If I know somebody else has a blog post or a product that would help
Mhm,
with that problem, I'm really happy to refer them in that direction as well. So
mhm,
yeah, it's just like one-on-one chat. And I love working like that. I didn't want to create something automated, and I have come like thought it over several times. Like, how do I
mhm,
create this massive decision tree or a quiz or something that helps people find
mhm,
what they want? And again, like, it's not my zone of genius. I don't really enjoy making those kind of things. So if I did, I probably would put more effort into it, but I
mhm,
don't. I just really enjoy like interacting with people, and
mhm.
my best inspiration comes from those interactions. I love it when people reply to my emails. I love it when they
Yeah.
pop up in that Ask Laura box and they're like, "Help
Mhm,
me! I'm in this situation. Like, what can I do?" It just helps me create better free content, and it helps me
right.
create better paid offers, and helps me enjoy like being in the business and running it,
Mhm,
rather than it being something that's like a product that's separate from me that I'm not really involved with. Some people want to
yeah.
sell like that, that's fine. But
Mhm.
for me, I really enjoy that like interaction with the people that buy from me.
Yeah, I think it makes a big difference because, yeah, you're not kind of doing it in a bubble. And you're like, "Well, I'm gonna write this blog post. I think it'll be helpful," but you're not sure. But yeah, kind of getting that real time feedback, and it's so much easier to create content when somebody's like, "Hey, I have a question." I think a lot of times we don't want to reach out to creators, like we think that maybe we're bothering them with our questions, but I feel like that's great fuel for people. They can create something, for you or as a product that you can purchase. Like, I don't know, I think it's good, but we often worry about reaching out. So, I
I
don't
think it's on like as business owners, we really need to encourage people to ask questions. I have
Mhm.
so many different ways that I ask people to get in touch. So reply to
Oh,
emails, fill
nice.
out this form, click on this button. Like
Mhm.
it's so easy to connect with me because I thrive on those questions. And when I work with like people in my mentoring, they often come to me at a point where they've kind of ground to a halt. Either like something's happened in their life and so they've lost some momentum, or they're just getting started with a new venture. It's
Mhm.
that like that beginning bit where you're just like, how do I get going? Like,
Mhm.
how do I write emails when there's hardly anyone who's going to see them? And how do I sell this thing when I've got no one to sell it to? And you've got
Mhm.
not, it feels like you don't have very much to work with. You know what you need to do, but your raw material feels lacking. Like you don't have that much to work with. And I always encourage them, like, get people to ask you questions. That's the
Mhm.
beginning, is to have as many interactions as you possibly can to generate as many questions as people will give you. And then
Mhm.
to make that, like almost like a culture of your business, like
Yeah.
that they can see there's this openness, and that you're
Mhm.
inviting their questions in, like willing them to come with their questions, because that is the fuel for everything.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I saw a long time ago, and I think she had taken it away, but there was like a website of a person that I knew, and in the footer she had like ask me a question, and you clicked on it. It was a form. You filled out the form, and I just thought that was really cool. Like a great way for people to to be able to interact with you. A lot of times I think we kind of put ourselves as, like we're here and like the creators are up here, or if you're kind of doing it on a spectrum, like they're so far ahead of us and like they're people just like us, and they need to know what questions we have. So it's great to be able to interact.
No, definitely. And if
Oh,
you're like, if you have questions, ask them. You're doing them a
mhm,
massive favor. Say that, especially about sales pages. If someone, please make it easy for people to ask you a question on your sales
Mhm.
page. In the FAQ on your sales page, the last question on your FAQ should be, I have a question that
I have
isn't
another.
answered here. How
Yes.
do I get in touch?
Mhm.
Because for every one person who gets in touch with a question about your sales page, there were at least 10 other people that had the exact same question, but they didn't want
They
to, or
didn't.
didn't feel brave enough, or couldn't be bothered to get in touch with you.
Mhm. Yeah, and making it easy to do that too. Like, I feel like I think a lot lately about friction, and whenever there's too much friction between me and something I wanna do, like how much harder it is to overcome each barrier. So how can we avoid the friction? It's kind of like exercising, like, put your shoes out the night before, that philosophy,
Mhm.
but making it also easier for people to ask you those questions. So, like, I think that's important.
And it says contact me, and you click on it, and it like's trying to open your default email system that you've
Yes.
never used on your computer ever. You're like,
Yes,
I
yeah.
can't, I need
No.
to get the email address and copy and paste it to my regular
Yes.
email system.
Right. Yep, 100%, yes, yeah, don't do that, people. Like, have a
Yeah,
form
please
and
don't
make it
do that.
easy. Yeah, don't ask them 8,000 questions, just ask them a couple, like, let them
Don't
tell
ask
you
their
what they need.
telephone number. Like,
Right.
unless you absolutely 1,000% have to have the telephone number. No, I'm
Right.
not going to give you my telephone number.
Yes, exactly, yes, yeah, for sure, totally agree. Do you wanna give us your maybe 2 to 3 pieces of advice for people who have not ever done this before? They're looking to create a product and sell it to people, and they're not sure what to do or what not to do.
Okay, I think the best advice I have if you're thinking of creating a course is have some kind of system for storing your ideas. So I use Notion, which is like this magic database
Mhm.
notebook thing. Don't really understand how it works, but I used to use everything went in a notebook. And so I'd get through a notebook a week, like an A4 notebook every week.
Wow.
And I'd start coming up with an idea of like, oh, this could be a course. And I'd start writing it out. And then I'd get to the end of the notebook, which also had client notes in it and blog posts I did, like just a whole bunch of stuff in one notebook. And I'd start the next one. And then I'd start another one. And maybe a month later, I think, "Do you know, I feel like I've written that course about 3 times over, but the course does not exist yet."
Mhm.
And I'd have to go back through all the notebooks to find all of the notes that I had repeated over and over again about the same course. And now I do everything online, or not everything, I still have a notebook, but my courses I create online in Notion. So I just open a folder or document, whatever it's called on Notion, and call it the name of what I think the course might be called one day. And I just start writing, like, okay, maybe this will be in it. And this is a good example to share. And someone asked me this question, and I answered it in this way. And it seems like it's roughly to do with what this course content would be about.
Mhm.
And every time it comes up, I shove it in that folder. And then one day I sit down and I write the course, but it's not writing a course, it's just rearranging raw
Mhm.
material that already exists inside a folder and then creating slides and recording a video for it. So I
Yes.
don't ever have to create something from scratch. I could create a course like any day of the week. I could just go into
Mhm.
Notion if I needed to create a course and find one that's a work in progress and tidy it up and sell it as a course because I've got so
Yes.
many that are on the go at the moment.
What if topics overlap? Like, this is kind of where I get a little bit, like, because nothing is really, like, in a bubble. So, like, how do you know if you put that note in this document or in this other document? Like, or does it not? Or does it just overlap and that's fine?
Well, yeah, I mean, sometimes you can just copy it. You can have it in both.
Mhm.
There's not, so you could like duplicate it and move it across
Mhm.
and say you've got it in both. That happens quite a lot, actually. I'd say that's probably the
Okay.
best explanation, best answer to what you've just said.
Okay.
Is if I think about it, I'll answer someone's question. I'm like, that's kind of about subject lines, but it also
Yeah.
might work for this other thing. So
Mhm.
I'm going to put it in both. And
Okay.
it also doesn't matter if it appears in both courses. Like it's going to be
Yeah.
within the context of something else. So yeah, there's definitely, I mean, there's
Mhm.
repetition between my courses, definitely, because underneath it is the same sort of underlying themes and the
Mhm.
way that I teach, and examples are probably different across the courses. But even then, I
Mhm.
think if you repeat an example, you're using it in a different context. So
Mhm.
I wouldn't worry about that too much. I think just
Mhm.
have it in more places and then delete it if you don't need it,
Okay.
rather than
Makes
be
sense.
too frugal and not like
Yeah.
spread it around.
Yeah. I don't you like, sometimes people get tripped up on, like, the weirdest things, and I just feel like, "Oh, where do I put it?" Like, but yes, yeah, that makes, sense, and as creators and as service providers, we're probably used to saying the same things over and over again. My clients will ask me questions like this client and that client just asked me the same question. So, like, it's a good practice because also, people aren't listening, their attention spans, like, they need to hear it more than once anyway. So, it's, say it again, say it
Mhm.
again, say it again. So, that's probably good.
And just trust that you know yourself best. So you'll like where I've described pre-selling things, like I'll get it so far and then I'll put it for sale and then I'll do all the twiddly bits to hook it up and actually get it ready and out the door. But the other people I've described that to have just looked at me in horror, like I would be paralyzed with fear, and there is no way I'd be able to create course content like that. That's fine. Don't do it that way then. Like
Mhm.
you'll know yourself best,
Mhm.
and you can figure out like little tricks and ways to get over, like where's the most use of friction. Like we're in the
Mhm.
process of coming up with an idea for a course, putting the material together, recording it, getting it all set up, creating the sales page, like in that whole process, where are your friction points that are specific to you that you really struggle with, and then figure out ways to outsource that or incentivize yourself all the way through it, or
Yeah.
like you can figure out for yourself. It doesn't have to look a particular way. It doesn't have to follow a particular
Mhm.
system. It doesn't have to be done in a particular order. You'll just find your own unique way that works for you.
Mhm. Yeah. I totally agree. Yeah, and really trusting yourself. And I think that sometimes we don't always quite know. And so that comes with experimenting. Experiment to figure out what works for you. And what works for you for a certain amount of time might not always work for you. So, just realize that, like, okay, you might have to make some changes if things stop working or you're in a different phase or, doing something different. So, it's an ongoing, it's a journey, big journey.
I find buying myself a jumper that has worked. Like when I've done this, then I will allow myself a new jumper from this place that I really like to buy jumpers from.
Nice.
And more so now, it tends to be a house plant. So now I need to like fall in love with a house plant at the garden
Hmm.
center. When I have done this thing that is a lot
Hmm.
of friction and I don't really want to do it, I'm going to go and buy that house plant.
Hmm.
It's going to come and live with me.
That's awesome. Oh, I love that. I love that. That's perfect and beautiful too. And that's great. That's fantastic. So thank you so much for coming on today. Do you want to tell us where we can find you online?
So my website is worditude.co.uk. And if you go to worditude.co.uk/newsletter, that is how you can join the Comfy Business newsletter, which is the best way to stay in touch with me. I'm not very much on social media.
Hmm.
I just prefer writing, and I email my list like a couple of times a week, usually some sort of weird story from my life or something that I've messed up on.
I love those. Those are
But
great.
it's always around the theme of like having a comfortable business that flexes
Mhm.
around your life and whatever challenges, priorities, and adventures you've got going on. So yeah, joining my newsletter is the best way to stay in touch.
Awesome. I love that. Yeah, and I love the comfy. Like, I love the word comfy, cozy, like all those related words. Like, I love it. Hey, thanks for listening. I'd love to continue the conversation in your inbox. Email subscribe to hey@yfdp.show or sign up in the show notes to get bi-monthly emails about how you can create, launch, and market your first digital product. Can't wait to see you there.